scope these wires. Got to have the engine running to do it. You're not going to be able to hear very well. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at my scope patterns on each one of the spark plugs. Then we're going to pull the plugs. Probably going to put some new ones in there. And then after we put the new spark plugs in there, we're going to wind up showing you what the scope pattern on the old and the new spark plugs look like. Okay, these are my new spark plugs that I've got laid out on the towel. And I'm using this probe from AES Wave. And whenever this probe from AES Wave is laid against the wire like that, it produces this pattern that I have. Okay, so what that is a double strike pattern that Ford started using in the 2000s so that it could burn all of the mix. You know, if you have a spark plug that's gapped a little bit too close, you might have heard one going poo, 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 poo. Well, there was not enough of a complete burn going on, so Ford double struck them like that. I just wanted to explain why you were seeing the two patterns, one right after the other on the same plug like that. That's just part of the deal with these, and it started in the early 2000s. Now this is plug number 1, what it looked like. You can basically see that little double strike pattern. Then that's the new plug, what it looked like. Actually on this scope I did captures on these. That plug number 2 is a kind of a screwy looking thing, and there it is with the new plug in there. That's a sort of a neat looking deal. There's your plug number 3. You notice that really high up kick and how short the second spark line is, but it looks just like that almost exactly on plug number 3 new. Now this thing isn't running bad enough for me to worry a whole lot about why those patterns look like they do. If I was having a problem, I'd go hunting for something. You notice the turbulence on that line, the one we just saw on 4. There's plug number 5. You can pause these if you want to study them. See, that one right there is really a nice little textbook look. And you notice how the leftover energy squiggle looks a little bit different on that second firing. And then that's the plug number 6 new right there. Now this device is the GTC 505 made by General Technologies Corporation of Canada. I've actually made some videos on this one before, but I'm going to go ahead and do the measurement of my cylinders 1 through 6 on this the same way I did with the MixSig scope and the probe that I got from AES Wave. So I'll show you the still shots of these. This is a cool tool because it can analyze a waveform about 16 different ways, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. All right, here is the GTC 505 comparison. Cylinder number 1, cylinder number 2, look at the kilovolts there. And then there's cylinder number 3, 4.31 kilovolts. You can see they're varying from plug to plug a little bit. 4.59 on cylinder number 4. And then there's your cylinder number 5 is almost exactly the same as 4. And then 5.57 on cylinder number 6. Okay, to get to these spark plugs, I could go under here, but for clarity, I think I'm going to disconnect this mass airflow sensor, and I'm going to work on getting this air cleaner out of the way. I need to get a screwdriver so I can take that loose. I want to disconnect that closure hose for the PCV. And let me go get a screwdriver here. Alright, we're getting that air cleaner housing off. There's the mass airflow sensor up in there. This little thing here is a resonance chamber that makes it quieter so you don't hear it go woo. You notice they've even got a little secondary one up under the bottom. This is my 06 Explorer. Alright, so I lay that down. You might have remembered one time I was talking about how I had seen a roach's wing laying on top of this, and it would go up against the screen that was right in front of the mass airflow sensor, and it was causing it to make it lean out and cause all kinds of labor knocking stuff. Alright, so now I got to work these spark plugs off of here. Spark plug wires. This is 1, 2, and 3 on this side, 4, 5, and 6 on the other side. And once I get those spark plugs wires off, I'll be able to do this. Got me a fender cover here so I don't make a mess out of things. Alright. For this I'm using my impact wiggler I got from Cornwell and a long extension and a Mac ratchet, such as it were. Alright. This spark plug has not been out of here since this was a brand new vehicle. And so I used to spin these out of here with an air ratchet at the dealership. But in a situation like I'm in today, I don't want to fool with that. It's a little warm because I've been running it. And typically when it's a little warm, I'll take a piece of 3/8 hose. Actually, I tried to knock my fender cover off. Need to put it back on there. So, this is an interesting set of circumstances here that I didn't anticipate. And I'll show you when I get it out of there. This has not happened. This is number 2. They're numbered 1, 2, 3 on this side. Alright. That's what that one there is looking like. I'll take a picture of it. I'm going to take a picture of all of them together, but you notice that one, the tip came out of it too, the same way. And that's where the tip went. It stayed up in the spark plug where I needle nosed it out of there. And that's the 6 plugs. The first 3, 1, 2, and 3 came apart. That is valve stem seal deposits, but they're not enough to worry about. And there they are laying out there on the towel with my stuff and all my tools. Here we are putting that one there, number 5, back in there. And now I gotta work the socket on to number 4 so we can get rid of it. Now this is a sort of a dangerous thing. I probably ought to have a rag right there and tighten it up number 4. I had already screwed them most of the way in with my little hose. Got to be careful that you don't crack them, you know. And this is the dielectric grease you put in there, and that's just about that much is all you need to put in there. Sometimes you may see an air filter that this is torn on. That's not a good thing. You need to make sure that this is good. Now this filter should probably be replaced, but for the purposes of my testing, I'm going to go ahead and replace this later. We'll need to go to the parts store and get one, but I don't want to fool with that right now, so I'm going to reach over here in the grass and grab make sure there's nothing up in it, and then I'm going to reinstall this. Put the air cleaner housing back on. If you ever see an air cleaner housing that's cracked or anything, you need to not use it. You need to get another one no matter what it costs, because you will destroy an engine. If you got a cracked air cleaner housing or anything that's going to let any dirt or air go in there. Everybody knows that, but it's just really, it's something that sometimes you just want to take a shortcut, you know, and you get in trouble. Alright, that's back in place like it's supposed to be. And now we're going to start it up and we're going to see how it runs, and we're going to recheck it with the scope. You might notice it spins a little longer than it should because it's not holding fuel pressure when you shut it down, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'll do something about that later. Well, it sounds good. So now we need to redo our scope test and see what we got. And there's another look at plug 1 new and plug 2 new, and then plug 3 new. That one's kind of screwy looking, but it looked screwy with the old and the new plug. There's plug 4. Got that turbulent firing line on the second one. And most of them have got the taller line on the first strike and then a shorter line on the second one, which is just the way it is. Thank you guys for stopping by.